Just when you thought it was safe to submit an idea to your employer, hold on. Before you do, read The Anatomy of a Corporate Lynching, Updated Edition, and avoid the Great White Sharks. Available on Amazon worldwide. And hear the audiobook featuring a cast of actors delivering the facts exclusively at fourthfordbooks.com.
So tax records, state for BLM, they spent millions of dollars in 1 year span on staffing and consulting fees. Now remember, Black Lives Matter had received $90 million during the time of George Floyd. And they donated that at the time because they wanted to see, definitely the different chapters be funded where they can go out and continue the work. Different local organizations that's helping out the people. Anything that someone is trying to fight for black people, they say, listen, let's go ahead and donate it and they can pass this money out, right? And even people like, those of us that's in, media space, right, who's fighting, at the grassroots level for black people, that includes all of us too, right? We all in the same field. I may not be out there like in the streets like them, but we're doing it, in media. Media is one of the places that you have to fight more than anything because media shapes perception. And black people's perception, unfortunately, has been shaped by the white supremacists that have media. So we have to fight back. We have to control narratives. We have to do all of that. That is very, very important. Never think that media is not important. This is why the white supremacists invest billions in media, because media is warfare. Now, they said critics, say the leaders never shared resources to grassroots chapters, and others went directly to the civil rights organization's headquarters and accountants to ask them to verify where and to whom the money raised over the years have gone. Now, according to an AP report, it showed the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation raised $90 million in donations and spent more than $37 million on grants, real estate, and other expenses, and paid almost $4 million in consultant fees between the fiscal year of July 2020 and June 2021. Now, tax records revealed the organization also invested in $32 million in stocks. Hold the hell up. That money was not given to invest in the stock market. That money was given to go to grassroots organizations or anybody that's trying to fight for black people's life here in America. And they sit up there investing $32 million in the stock market. Nobody that donated, no matter where they come from. There are people all over the world donated to Black Lives Matter. They didn't donate to them to say, oh, hey, put this on the stock market, put this on the index fund. Do this. They didn't do that. They didn't do that for no real estate either. These people is doing whatever the hell they want to do with people's money. Now, they say many of the donations came in, they say, after BLM Global Network received an unprecedented amount of donations after the deaths of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and Ahmaud Arbery. See, they use the deaths of black people to get a come up. And we know it is all tied in with that Democrat Party and liberals. It's all tied in because money, and we talked about this before, went to Act Blue, which is the Democrat funding apparatus. Now, I say 3 individuals who received the exuberant consulting fees specifically raised eyebrows, from critics. They'll say a 63-page Form 990 documented the money exchanges of the BLM Global Network cleared Patrice Cullors of suspicions that she or her consulting firm received payments directly from the organization. They say, however, the records show that the movement's primary nonprofit paid $2.1 million to Bowers Consulting, a firm ran by Shalamaya Bowers. Now, Bowers is not only a principal at the consulting firm, but the secretary for the board of directors for the organization. They say Trap Hills LLC, a company established by Damon Turner, the father of Cullors' child, was paid $970,000 for his services, while the activist brother Paul Cullors secured a contract for his security company of $840,000. As the other acquaintance close to Cullors received contracts totaling $1.8 million. So basically, she was practicing nepotism. That's what she was practicing. Now, say in addition to the consultant fees, It said a tax form showed the organization also made some investments in wealth building decisions, including aforementioned stocks and the purchasing of properties, including a $6 million mansion in Los Angeles. Once again, people didn't donate to Black Lives Matter to be buying mansions. Not at all. Now, I said 2021 was a big year in donations, with BLM Global Network receiving $77 million in contributions during the annual fiscal duration. It said at the end of the year, the report shows it gave out $25 million in grants and acquired $42 million in assets, which we covered before, that the majority of the organizations they gave money to was LGBT organizations. We went through that here on this channel. It was trans this, trans that, LGBT this and LGBT that. If you wasn't LGBT, you really didn't get no money like that from Black Lives Matter. When black people are donating money, they're not donating money to about LGBT. He's talking about fighting for black people. Now, of course, LGBT black people is a part of the community, sure. But that's the organization are supposed to be donating money to LGBT. It's supposed to be to the grassroots that's fighting in the streets for black people. It's supposed to go to black lawyers so they can fight for black people. It's supposed to go to black media where they're fighting for black people in the media space. It's supposed to go to everybody that's fighting for black people. And they didn't do that. Now, say the AP said in the research, the nonprofit experts told them the foundation was operating like a scrappy organization with far fewer resources, although some say black-led charities face unfair scrutiny in an overwhelmingly white and wealthy philanthropic landscape. Now, say, however, the nonprofit structure is run, it makes it easy for financial mismanagement and allegations of impropriety to form a cloud of doubt over the organization. Okay? So they have a professor who focuses on nonprofit out of Ohio State University. He said that it comes across as an early startup nonprofit without substantial governance structure in place. He said they got a huge windfall. He said people are going to be quick to assume that mismatch reflects intent and say whether there's anything improper here. He said there's another question, but whether they set themselves up for being criticized, I think there certainly is the case because they didn't plug a bunch of those gaps. Now, I say one of those gaps is working with people on the ground. It say in local chapters. Now, it say activist Yane Nago, they say, who was a former organizer of the Philadelphia chapter of BLM. It said that they said that Colors went back on her word to help local workers by sharing some of the foundation's resources for grassroots works. She said that when resources came in, when opportunities came in, it said BLM, it said alone would be the ones to decide who was going to take advantage of them without having to take any consideration of the other organizers who work. It said it was giving them access to these resources and opportunities in the first place. Because you got to think about it. The people on the ground is the reason that people even want to donate anything. Because, people that's locally fighting, and you didn't even support these people. But yet everybody around Patrice Cullors, her baby daddy, her brother, everybody is getting a bag. Her wife getting a bag, buying properties. They invested in the stock market. They're doing everything but what black people told them to do. And they invested in a lot of Democrat candidates. A lot of Democrat candidates. Black people didn't give you no money to be invested in no Democrat candidates. They're supposed to be fighting for black people. And these Democrat candidates do not fight for black people whatsoever. We know that. They fight for Democrat Party. They are sold out, bought and paid for black people. Now, they said that they also attempt to get the tax records from Elias Law Group, who once kept BLM's books. They say the Office of Rubino and Company. They say a financial preparer for the BLM Global Network and directly from the BLM Global Network Foundation. And Perlman, they say a Mesa, Arizona-based law firm, but they say they couldn't get that. They said none of the parties associated with the nonprofit were entertained when Fox News tried to reach out. Now, of course, we know Candace Owens, they say, went to Patrice Cullors' house to ask about how the organization spent the money. Like I said, we thought that was I thought it was funny in itself. Like I said, of course, I'm not no fan of Candace Owens, but hey, if Candace Owens will try to find that money, hey, go ahead, Candace. I'm not, like I said, a broken clock is right twice a day for me. Now, I say the BLM Global Network founder who has stepped away from the organization addressed, spending under her leadership. Of course, she's denying any inappropriate spending has been done on her part, but why $32 million in stocks? Why a $6 million home in LA? Why? Why no money to the grassroots organizations that was on the ground? See, if you'd have been doing all that and then maybe did some of the other stuff you're doing, nobody would say nothing about it because you were breaking bread. See, when white folks do things like this, they do it the right way. In other words, they make sure everybody get paid that need to get paid so they won't be talking against them. See, if y'all have took care of the Black Lives Matter chapters and you got $90 million, you mean to tell me you couldn't give the chapters at least $3 million apiece? At least say, hey, here's $3 million for all the I think they say it was 16 chapters. Here's $3 million. Let me make sure y'all get all this money. If you'd have gave them $3 million apiece, if you'd have made sure to take care of everybody that could speak, for you, just take care of people. You didn't even want to deal with the black media. You was running the CNN and all of that. How you supposed to be Black Lives Matter, and you never talk to black media? Never. That makes you suspect right there. The media, if I'm so-called black, the media I'm going to talk to is going to be the black media first. Because I want to make sure that I talk to my people. How I'm supposed to be Black Lives Matter and I don't talk to my people? I'm always on MSNBC. I'm always on CNN. That's not where my people are at. That's not where my people are at. Anyway, so they said, now, of course, she claimed that she never used donations for any of the properties, that she owned in the past or outright. She said, the idea that Black Lives Matter Global Network received millions of dollars and that I hid dollars though in my bank account is absolutely false. They said the tax information supports her claims and even shows Colors reimbursed the organization $73,000 for a charter plane she reserved during the rise of the COVID-19 and security threats in 2021. She also rented space at the organization's studio city property for 2 private events, paying them $390. But how could you reimburse the organization almost $73,000? And why are you taking charter planes? What, are you better than everybody else? You can't take Delta or Southwest or, something like that. I mean, you better than the rest of them. You could at least maybe you could have flew first class. I don't know. But you had a whole charter plane? Really? Okay. Now, of course, like I said, the folks, covered they tracks. But the whole organization, they put Patrice Colors out there because, it looks funny style. You getting all these homes. And don't even forget the home in Canada. All this stuff look funny style, and you didn't give nothing to the organizations. And you was the head of it, sis. So what you mean, like, hey, I didn't do anything? It still don't look good on y'all. $32 million in stocks? No. And the local chapters got nothing? Nothing at all. No, this is not a good explanation or absolve her of anything. No, it don't. It actually makes it look worse. Because nobody couldn't really put a finger on it. But this is what y'all file to the IRS. But anyway, like I said, but what we have learned with that situation is this. You don't support people that just come out of nowhere. We didn't know no Patrice Colors. We didn't know no Alicia Garza. We didn't know no Opal Tometi. We didn't know these women. Where did these women come from? These women didn't have years in the streets. These women, nobody knew these women. So same thing with the Obama thing. Nobody knew who Obama was. All of a sudden he popped up. So we know now, of course we know now, if you just having a black person show up saying, oh, I fight for black people, nobody know who they are. Nobody can look in their background and see where they come from. It's like, hey, you know them? You know her? You know him? Nobody know who you are. We shouldn't be supporting you. We need to support people that people could easily check into. People know where they come from, etc. That's the people that need to be leading something. Like, for instance, someone like the minister. Everybody know who the minister is. For a long time, everybody know who he is. So if the minister come and talk about something, I know what he gonna do with it. But some just strange people, and all of a sudden the white supremacist media is supporting them and putting them on MSNBC and all these other, CNN and they just propping them up. We don't know who they are. No. They were selected. They were selected for the finesse, and they got paid. Those women got paid. They got paid very well by the Democrat Party. They sure did. But the people that's in the streets that was really fighting, the race soldiers toe to toe, they got nothing, and that's sad. But leave me a comment, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know what you think about, this situation with Black Lives Matter. I say it's utterly sad that black people and anybody throughout the world that donated, at the time period to help black people, was just straight finesse. But like I said, we have learned from this situation. Hopefully we have. And we definitely going to move accordingly the next time. I believe you should help people that's, is on the ground, that's doing the work. Give money to those people, not organizations.